Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lei Guan. I'm the head of engineering and applied research at AiCure. Today, I will be talking about how we use artificial intelligence to understand patient behavior at AiCure. In today's session, I will be talking about what does AiCure do and what problems do we try to solve with artificial intelligence at AiCure? How do we leverage AWS to build and deploy AI? And in the end, I'll be sharing some takeaways on how do we deploy AI in the real world. So first, let us take a look at what do we do at AiCure. AiCure is a large, scalable cloud and mobile B2B platform that uses AI and big data. We have a platform that offers a complete solution for trial participation and patient management. This includes reminders and confirmation of dosing, visit scheduling, remote video chat capability. This is very helpful in this current COVID-19 situation based on our client feedback. We also offer solutions around electronic patient diaries, digital biomarkers, as well as micro-reimbursements. As a clinical trial participant, if you have a smartphone, you can download our app from either App Store or Google Play. Or if you don't have any devices, you can just use our provision devices. After a patient is enrolled into the platform, a pre-set up protocol will be downloaded to the patient's phone. The app will start to operate based on that protocol. During the whole trial journey, the app acts like an assistant to the patient. For instance, the app reminds the patient when they should take the medication, how many pills they need to take, and also confirm that they have taken the right ones. This is how it works. When taking the drug, the app asks the user to go through a few simple steps, just like using DOT to ensure adherence. We are using AI to automate that process. AI is inferencing on the local smartphone and can run without any internet connection. This is a design choice requiring deep optimization, and we really put efforts in to make that happen because you really can't tell your patient, hey, I'm sorry, it's not the right time to take your drug because you don't have any internet connection right now. The application uses facial recognition to confirm the identity and use object recognition and activity recognition to make sure the right drug has been taken. The application is very easy to use. It has been tested with a wide range of users, ranging from 5 to 6-year-old kids to 70 to 80 years old senior folks. While interacting with the application, the whole session is being captured and sent to our backend for analysis. Through those analyses, we found something really interesting that things that we have never thought about before. For instance, we found some participants to be intentional non-adherent. As you can see in this video, the participant actually tries to spit the pill while interacting with the system. Just look carefully around the flash of the drug, and you will see around the mouth area, patient is trying to spitting out the pill. So in order for us to capture this intentional non-adherence behavior, we have used AI to learn from tons of data we have collected over years. We have built a system to combine the intelligence of human and machine to generate insights that are actionable. How it works is, once a video is uploaded to the cloud, the AI system will inference on it in the background. Then, based on the risk profile of a trial, certain videos are going to be sent to human for double confirmation with a controlled process in place. The final results are sent to site for follow-up or to sponsor to take further actions, depends on the protocol of a trial. Here is an example of the dashboard that is used by site study coordinator. As you can see, patients' adherence data is presented to the user in real time. Patients that required outreach or interventions are highlighted as red and displayed at the top of the list. Patients can be contacted via a click of a button. Study coordinators can also set notification preferences, and they can choose to receive such information by email or SMS. So this is the platform. Next, I'm going to talk about how do we build and deploy AI within this platform. As you can see here, we have both AI both running on the edge devices as well as in the cloud. Users are interacting directly with the output of our AI system. So the quality of our AI is critical to the insights we can offer to our clients, to the experience of our patients, and to the success of our product. In order to build and deploy AI in real world, we believe the following four things are critical. First, a good strategy to capture data in real world, ideally with minimum user efforts, so we can gather a large amount of data in real time. We need a system that we can quickly turn the data we captured into models that we can deploy as part of our product. Third, we need to understand where the model failed in real world and understand the pattern of those failures. Last, we need a system that we can quickly iterate on the models and let the models learn from those failed cases and test it at scale to make sure it works better. Let's take a look at AiCure's data capturing strategy. At AiCure, we are capturing data every time a patient is dosing. After patients have been interacting with AI to go through certain tasks, their data are sent to our backend, which is hosted on AWS. The architecture looks like this. We are using AWS API Gateway to connect patients and our backend. AWS Cognito and Lambda are used for authentication and authorization. Then within the VPC, we are using a microservice-based architecture, which consists of two layers. One is business logic service layer, and the other is core services layer. These services are running through a mix of ECS, Fargate, Lambda, and with different data stores, such as S3 bucket, RDS, DynamoDB. KMS is used for encryption. The platform is architected with security in mind from the ground up. It's HIPAA compliant, scalable, secure, and flexible. Every time a patient is dosing, their data is captured, and we use that to train our AI. So the system essentially becomes smarter every time a patient doses. By doing so, we have really captured a large amount of data over years. Currently at AiCure, we have data that are collected over 26 countries with more than 600,000 videos, with more than 180 million image frames, and with more than 600 dosing events, and with more than 17,000 intervention events. Our data comes from real-world settings, and they're coming into the formality of videos, images, audios, and text. The text data include intervention data, adherence data, time on task data, PK data, and etc. As you can see from the chart on the right, it is going really fast, which is really good for us. However, the fast growing of our data also poses some challenges to us. For instance, since our data comes in from different modalities, they are storing in various places, such as S3, SQL databases, and NoSQL databases. Also, our data is decentralized, as we are using a microservice-based architecture. This architecture is great for transactional processing scaling, but not necessarily data analytics. Because the data is managed by each individual service, they are not directly accessible to our clients. Also, we have new data types coming in frequently, either from third party or from new capabilities of the platform. And there's a need to get this data to our data scientists and engineers as quickly as we can so we can uncover its value. Considering all above, we would like to have a system that can do the following to help address these issues. First, we want to have a centralized place to store and index our data. Second, we want the system to provide a unified data access layer, which makes it easy for any scientist to query the data without understanding the complexity of the system and without interacting with different APIs. Third, we want no development effort for ingesting new data. We want it done through configuration, not coding. We also want to have access control and audit capability, ideally to the field level for security purpose, especially considering we are working in the healthcare industry. We also want flexibility to support different types of data, including structured and non-structured data. And of course, we want scalability as well. Considering all this, we have built a service called Centralized Data Storage, which is AiCure's implementation of Data Lake. This data lake allows us to run different types of analytics, such as dashboard and visualization, big data processing, real-time analytics, and machine learning. Here you can see the architecture of this service. The core piece here is a glue workflow. It orchestrates complex multi-job ETL activities. These jobs ETL data from various data stores, such as RDS, DynamoDB, Redshift, S3, all into one single place. Then we're using Glue for data cataloging our data. To query the data, we use Athena and Redshift Spectrum. This allows data scientists and engineers and applications to interact with our data directly through SQL. Schema on read provides the flexibility to ingest our new data. The system provides the scalability we need, and also it requires very few maintenance, and because we are all using AWS services in the back, which are all managed services. Now we have the data. The next question is, how do we turn this valuable data into models we can deploy, so we can get the insights of our data to our clients quickly and make our user experience better? What we have done is we built an AI engine to automate the model building process and deployment process as much as we can. At AiCure, we call the engine Cortex. As you can see from the diagram here, the system starts with data collected from patient dosing, which is ETL into our centralized data service. There are tons of triggers built on top of that service, which analyze the data and help us identify inaccuracy in our AI models. Once these inaccuracies are identified, we try to understand the pattern of these inaccuracies and try to use them to find similar data as much as we can within our dataset. Then these samples get sent to human review team for annotation, which are further ingested into our centralized data services. They are becoming part of our dataset for building and testing our machine learning models. Once the models are trained and passed all the tests, it will be deployed in production environment and running in shadow mode. Shadow mode is designed for testing new algorithms through the same production data, but without interacting with the rest of the platform. The metrics generated within shadow mode are used to compare with models running in production. Once we are happy with the model that are running in shadow mode, we'll be promoting that into production to replace existing models. Then the improved models are in users' hands. At AiCure, we just keep spinning the engine and keep improving our AI system with data coming in every day. Here is a more detailed view of how we are leveraging AWS services to build the engine. During research phase, when data scientists are presented with data, they will be working with product manager to define the problem and come up with a solution to solve it. We want to give them the flexibility to choose the machine learning framework that they are most comfortable with. It can be TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, MXNet, Caffe, or anything they want to use. The goal here is to use whatever tool they are comfortable with to come up with a solution. Then, once that model meets the acceptance criteria that has been agreed by the team, it is packaged as a container and stored in our Elastic Container Registry on AWS. Based on the application, the model is either deployed for real-time inference or batch inference. I will talk about these two types of architecture in more details later. If more than one model is needed, we use step functions to create workflow by stitching models and processing steps together. Step functions allow us to coordinate these models' execution and the processing blocks. It provides us with the flexibility to quickly update the flow. More importantly, it allows us to easily explain what the flow is about and help us track the status during execution, so we can easily troubleshoot if there are errors in it. Once the AI workflow has been created, we use code pipeline to automatically deploy it in production in shadow mode. So we can use production data to test the workflow and understand how the system performs in the real world. After we prove that the system performance has met our expectations, we'll prove that within code pipeline by clicking a button. The workflow is automatically deployed in production to serve our clients. Of course, all metadata associated with this pipeline is properly logged, like the versions of the software, the versions of the model, which version of our data is used to generate those models, and etc. All these metadata are further ingested into our centralized data services, so we can easily query them if we need. In production, there are triggers and monitoring in place to help us automatically understand the performance of our models. The performance and the accuracies of the models are constantly updated to the team. Team use this to source more accuracy that can be further annotated. Those data and annotation are incorporated into our dataset, which will be further used to train and test our models. We just keep spinning the engine like this, and it continues to make our system better. Here, we are showing two different architectures of our AI workflow. The one on the left shows how we are doing near real-time AI inference in the cloud. In general, it starts with data uploaded to our S3 buckets. Then it triggers the execution pieces, which relies heavily on SNS, SQS, ECS, and Lambda. We normally run our AI models or processing steps in ECS or Lambda. We have chosen SQS as our queue system because it is easy to develop, easy to scale, easy to monitor, and easy to handle errors with its DLQ capabilities. The one on the right shows our batch processing AI inference architectures. This is normally executed once per day, which is triggered from AWS CloudWatch event. The backbone of this architecture is AWS step function. We use step functions to coordinate the execution of our different AI models and manage the state within the system during execution. Step function will submit jobs to AWS batch, which spins up ECS cluster to inference at scale. All inference results are sent back to microservices for further processing or CDS for archiving. One thing I would like to point out here, as you may know, you can use CloudWatch event to trigger the execution of step function directly. So why do we add a Lambda in between? What does the Lambda do? It turns out that we are using Lambda to generate metadata associated with each execution of our AI pipeline, so we can have proper audit trail in place. With this metadata, we can easily see in our system which inference result is generated by which version of AI workflow with which input data. Since model is a derivative of data, by querying the metadata associated with a model, we can easily know that which version of the data set we used to generate model and what the performance was like when we were validating it. The code executing the model are being stored in ECR and being tagged and tracked properly. By doing so, we have full traceability across the whole system, and we can repeat the generation of the model and the execution results if we want. In general, all AI workflow within our system are auditable and repeatable. We are capturing data like input and output data, execution time and steps, algorithms and versions. So we have full traceability here. Now I'd like to talk about another important piece within our system, human. Human is critical as it plays two fundamental roles in our system. First, it augments AI's capability by confirming or correcting mistakes generated from AI. This is critical in healthcare applications, which have low tolerance on the error of data in some cases. Second, human can help correct AI's mistakes, and AI can benefit from those corrections by continuously learning from them. Here are some examples of the dashboard we loop in human to help the system. The one you are seeing right now is our review dashboard. There are two roles associated with this dashboard, reviewer and adjudicator. Part of the reviewer's job is similar to our AI system, to come up with the suspicious level by watching a dosing video. Dosing video are sent to reviewers based on a set of rules that take into account time, risk profile of a trial, confidence of the algorithms, and etc. We ask reviewers to help us classify the video into 4 categories: red, which is intentional non-adherent with proof; orange, which is intentional non-adherent without proof; yellow, which is around usability or clarity, such as patient was dosing outside the video of the camera; and green, which is non-suspicious behavior identified. AI will output similar labels so we can compare that with the human results. On the right side, as you can see, we are also trying to capture metadata associated with the characteristics of a video and the behavior presented in the video, such as video is clear or not, or and the quality of the video, or the patient is dozing while driving, something like that. The metadata around this is helpful for us to understand the behavior of the patients and help us to expand the capability of the platform as well. Here is a view of our adjudicator dashboard. It is very similar to our reviewer's interface, except we presented both human and AI's decision to the adjudicator. We didn't present AI's decision to the reviewer because we don't want to introduce any bias. However, for adjudicator, we want to give them as much information as we have so they can help us to resolve the conflicts between human and AI. For instance, as you can see here, we present both AI and the human reviewer's decision to the adjudicator. This is also a way for us to reduce the noises introduced by human. It is all this data that spins the engine at AiCure that makes our system better. So this is our system. In the end, I would like to conclude the presentation with some takeaways. In order to launch a good AI-based product, we think the following are critical. First, good data collection strategy is critical to build successful AI products. Ideally, that strategy will help the user to achieve their goal without spending much effort. In the meanwhile, it is able to capture the data the system needs to train from the real world. Once you have the data, you will need a system that can quickly turn the data into models and transfer that model from research prototype to production. Here, we believe automation is the key for build, test, deploy, and monitor. Leverage human as part of your system and try to have human and machine augment each other is also important. We believe this is especially important in healthcare applications. Leverage cloud services for scalability, flexibility, reliability, auditability, and security. AWS has built a ton of these. There's no need to reinvent the wheels, just leverage as much as you can. This is my presentation today. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I appreciate you are listening. Have a good day.